Hey guys, welcome back to the Grant Mitt Podcast, episode number 106. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about how to multiply your time and start operating like a high-level CEO. Throughout high school and throughout college, pretty much all across not only the United States, but the world, we're taught that the hardest working and busiest people who are in, types of industries like doctors and lawyers and someone that worked their way up in an organization are typically the most successful people. While you can be successful in that route, and while hard work is important and many times is a minimum ask for anything that you do in life, what's confusing and what I learned that they don't actually teach people, and I learned this not just through, going out and starting a business and being an entrepreneur, but working with so many different entrepreneurs who, by the way, are successful. I mean, we're talking about multi-million-dollar businesses that are successful, but don't understand this principle. And it had nothing to do with intellect. It had to do with not actually being taught how to manage your time and how to produce the most output, not only in your business, but in your personal life. Let's take a look at some examples. So think about grocery stores, right? How long does it take to go to a grocery store? You got to drive there. If you live close, that's 5 to 10 minutes. If you live far, it might be 10, 15. You're in there. We're talking about 45 minutes to an hour. By the time it's all said and done, you're an hour and a half. You unloaded groceries. It's by the time you're done, probably more than 2 hours of your day that you spent. Mowing lawns, that's going to be an hour. There's so many of these minimal tasks that we use, not only in business, we'll cover those here in a second, but just in your personal life that don't add any value to your life, and you have to do it. And some people go, well, Grant, I love the grocery. I love going to the grocery store. I love mowing my lawn. Well, would you mow your lawn for your entire street for free every single day? Like, no. Would you go grocery shop for every single person you know and everyone you're friends with 7 days a week because you like it so much? Probably not. So you like it, but you don't like it as much as you actually think. Sometimes we just tell ourselves these things. And we do it and we don't progress in life and we don't figure out why. We're like, man, what's going on? So the key thing that I want you to start looking at is, what is your output? There's a massive difference between you being busy and hardworking and you actually having massive output. And I'm sure you guys have seen Elon Musk just in the last 2 to 3 weeks. He helped get a president elected. He landed a rocket. He was making robots. He's doing all these crazy things, all this success. You go, how is he doing this? How does he have enough time? But people forget to think about that he has thousands and thousands and thousands of the most talented, incredible engineers, not just in America, in the entire world. He has billions and billions of dollars of capital that is allocated properly to the best people in the world that are managing and running sections of these businesses. And the key is output. Right? So let's identify this just on an Elon Musk level, which is the highest level there is right now. There's about 4 areas that you can drive as an individual or business owner to produce more output. The first is content. Let's think about content. You guys are watching this right now, and when you're watching it, I'm likely doing something different. I will be in a meeting. I will be on a call. I might be on a plane. I might be spending time with my friends and my family. But you guys are going to be watching this content over and over and over again and share it, and it's going to be produced all across the world. So even though this video might be viewed in 120 countries, I don't have to go talk to 100,000 people separately each and every time, which means that content is producing more output than I could ever do individually. So if you have, for example, a remodeling business, and you're putting out 1 to 3 pieces of content every single day across all platforms, what's going to happen? Even if you're in a meeting with the project manager, even if you're talking to a prospect or a client, no matter what's going on, what is happening? Eyeballs are seeing your work. Eyeballs are seeing your website. More and more people are finding out about who you are. That's why we're seeing these people who are really, really big on social media, or they run a small, medium, or large size business. They produce content all the time. They outbeat their competition almost every single time. So a good question, what can you do to increase your output? Okay, 2 is capital. You only have so much capital. Even if you're Elon Musk, who raised, $44 billion is what he bought Twitter for. And he only used about 8 to 10 billion of his own money that he sold from Tesla stock. The rest was money from Morgan Stanley in debt, and the rest was raised by private investors. That produced more output. So if you go out and raise $10 million, you're going to have a heck of a more of an advantage on building and hiring the right people for a company than bootstrapping it from zero to scale it to 10 million. One thing that was a key driver of my solar business when we were starting out early on is I had saved up a big cash cushion. But even then, I knew my numbers. I knew what my customer acquisition, I knew what the lifetime value would be. I knew that formula. And it was essentially a 1 to 10 ratio, which means if the company spent $1,000, we would make $10,000 in revenue. And so what I did is, because I had good credit, I went out and got lines of credit, and I would use that credit to invest in lead generation and marketing. And I knew my numbers. And as long as we're right on those numbers and we're where we needed to be, I was able to utilize lines of credit up to sometimes $100,000 a month that we'd pay off within 30 days to rapidly scale the business without actually going out and finding investors. Okay, so think about content, capital. Next thing is advertising. If you are running ads in real time, even if you relax for 20 minutes and you listen to this podcast, or you go work out, you go see your mom, you jump in a meeting, people, potential targeted customers are seeing your information. Okay, and then fourth is people. When you have people involved with what you do, it increases your output. You know, like, I heard the saying, Beyonce, which for any of you guys that are international, she's a really big artist and has multiple businesses. I think she just became a billionaire. They say, well, Beyonce has the same 24 hours as you. And yeah, she does, but realize she probably has a staff of 500 to 1,000 people. Now, if you multiply that by 40 hours, think about how much more output Beyonce may have than you. Now, I'm not telling you guys that you suddenly have to go hire 40 people. You're like, man, Grant, I'm just starting out. But I want you to start changing the way that you think, because you can only work so hard. You only have so many hours in the day. And here's the thing. You can't be good at everything. Like, are you a smart guy? Yep. But if you're excellent at sales, could you learn to be a software engineer? Yes. Or you could hire someone. And you could close a deal, take the profit from that deal, and utilize it to pay an engineer to do the work. So it's about changing and rewiring the way that you think. Okay, so first thing I want you guys to do to analyze this, and some of you guys are business owners, some of you guys work at a company, or some of you guys just like this for motivation. You can use this as a mom or a dad, your personal life, anything. What I want you to do is pull out the notes of your phone or a sheet of paper, maybe pause this real quick, and I want you to write down every single task that you do for the last, let's say, week that does not actively make you money, is extremely important, or requires a high level of critical thinking that you have, meaning you're just an incredible engineer and it's specific engineering work. Or you are an unbelievable salesperson and that's you talking to a really high stakes potential client. I want you to think through, like, replying to emails, sending out confirmation emails, booking an appointment, taking notes on a meeting, interviewing people. I want you to think of anything that isn't an extremely high level skill. Going to the grocery store, mowing your lawn, maybe picking up your kids. And I want you to, next to that, total the amount of hours that you spend per week on those tasks. What you'll quickly find, and anyone I've done this with, we've calculated on the low end 10 hours, which is still a decent amount, all the way up to 40 hours a week on things that actually don't make you grow. And this is why I would say, like, we need to do this first before we hire people, or you're starting a company, or whatever the case may be. You start there and then you continue. Next is figure out who can you delegate these tasks to. And maybe you're like, Grant, we're just starting out. I don't have the money to be able to delegate. Okay. But if we analyze it, you do have an extra $10 to $15 to pay an Uber Eats driver or a DoorDash person to go pick up your groceries for you, so you can save 2 hours, and then you could spend those 2 hours talking to a client that can make you $5,000. So you do have that. And yeah, like, you can save a little bit of money mowing your lawn each month, but each time you do that is an hour and a half, plus you got to shower, clean up. Think about that. You could replace those 2 to 3 hours actually closing deals and making more money, and then simply just pay $50, $100 for someone to do it for you. See how you start turning. So it doesn't always start with employees. I'll give you an example. One of my friends that now he runs a big media company, he just so happens to be incredible at Microsoft Excel. And about 2 years ago, we were really focusing on improving our operations. And it was something as simple as calculating our sales reps, pitch percentage, closing percentage, things like that. And we had people manually doing it, just horrible. I'm not good at Excel. I'm good at business. And he told me about this. He's like, man, I was like the number 1 ranked person in the world at 17. And he redid this company's operations, this really big here in Texas. And next thing you know, it was like something that would literally be impossible for me to do. But even if it did, it would have took a year to do. He knocked out, I think it was like 4 to 5 hours. I paid him $75 an hour. And now when we press a button, like 5 spreadsheets change. Our data is perfect. We know our KPIs. We know everything we need. And it's like this. It saves us so much time, whether it's our managers, our operations people, our project coordinators, myself, anybody that's an executive. Those things streamlines everything. And it produces more output. So I didn't have to necessarily go hire an analytics guy and pay him $100,000 a year, but I could contract out someone, pay him $500 and change the entire company, which that alone probably increased our revenue 10, 15% because we knew the numbers better and we weren't wasting our time. So that $500 investment might have made us a lot of money, Could be millions in revenue. So you have to change the way that you think. You don't have to know it if you can hire a specialist. You just have to understand the basics of it, right? So reframe the way that you're thinking, all right? Now, as you start hiring and making more money and scaling your business and becoming more profitable, the key is to start creating operational procedures. So standard operating procedures that basically is a to-do list detailed. Like if you were training an AI robot, it's getting close, but it's not there yet. But let's say if you were training a robot to do specific things, you can video it on your phone or have a camera guy video how to do that specific thing. Or you could create a sheet that says, go to this link, click this button, do this with screenshots and everything, and create a folder to where you can then go hire someone to manage all of your projects. You can hire someone to only set appointments for you for your real estate firm every single day. And instead of you running your social media every waking minute of the day, you hire someone that specializes in social media. And then you start increasing your output. So let's think about it. Let's say 2 years from now, your business grows, it scales, you're making more money, you're allocating your time properly, and you have now 10, not people that just learn from you, but people who are better at things that you don't specialize in, and you have them on your team. They work 40 hours a week. That means instead of your hard working 50, 60 hours a week, those 10 people just added, assuming the 40-hour week, 400 hours of output per week, 1,600 per month. That's when you start looking unbeatable. That's when you start beating people that maybe are better than you, that maybe had more experience, but they don't have the same output. And that's when, to the normal world that just sees the accomplishment and the record sales and the record profit and the incredible PR release and the successful campaign that you just did, whatever it is, they're not thinking because they're not taught. They're taught to think in 2D. We can think in 3D or 4D and produce so much more at such a more efficient, quicker way that gives you that ultimate desire that you want to make your business and your life successful. Look, guys, we don't want to live a busy life for the sake of being busy. Our goal is not to be busy, it's to be successful and productive. Yes, it's admirable to work hard, and I'm a hard-working person, and I recommend you do the same. But at the same time, if you can be 10 times more productive, you're going to help 10 times more people. You're going to have 10 times the impact. You're going to be able to hire more people who can have a great job, great healthcare, great opportunities. There's so many more benefits in life to just simply winning more. But you have to change the way that you operate. And you do this by building a machine. Look, guys, a CEO or a leader of any kind builds an operation that is almost like a living, breathing organism that is consistently growing, consistently operating. Because if it's just you and you take the day off, your business could be 100% less productive. But for example, while I'm giving this, if I have salespeople and setters and operations people, tech, and all these different types of things that are producing output and doing great things, then even though I'm in this talking to you guys, having a great conversation with you, my business doesn't halt to zero. It's still productive. And that is how you reach the next level, by getting better, by hiring better, and building a business around you that is incredible and produces the success and the goals that you want. So hope you guys enjoy this podcast. As always, you can find me on all my social media channels at Grant Mitt. And again, we'll see you guys again for episode 107. Thanks, guys.